Today on the VHS Revolution show, I'm talking about one of my favorite directors, Steven Soderbergh, and his new movie, Black Bag. Hey guys, it's David. Welcome to the VHS Revolution show. Today we're talking about Black Bag and one of my favorite directors, Steven Soderbergh. Ever since I saw Out of Sight in 1998, Soderbergh has been one of my favorite directors. If you've seen the trailer for Black Bag, you probably think it looks like a variation on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Two married agents, both kind of after each other. And while I understand from a trailer editing perspective why they made it seem like it's this kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith type movie, it's really so much more than that. It's almost like if Mr. and Mrs. Smith was written and directed by David Mamet. It's more in the spy, intelligent, mind games, cat and mouse style film than like a full-on action film. In fact, there's actually very little action. The film is mostly made up of scenes of people talking in rooms. You're never quite sure who knows what, and if they know what the other person knows, and they're trying to keep their secrets private while also trying to figure out what the other person knows while also revealing different things. It's very, very tricky. It's like a cat and mouse movie, but you're not really ever sure who the cat is and who the mouse is, or even if the mouse is like one person. And that makes it fun. It was written by David Koepp, one of the greatest Hollywood screenwriters. He's written some films for Soderbergh. He also wrote Spider-Man, Jurassic Park. He's written some humongous movies. And this is not humongous, but it's really tightly plotted and very clean. And I can see why Soderbergh was drawn to it. It's just a really smart, well-written story that he could bring his particular style to. The film stars Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett as George and Catherine. They're married, living in England. They work for the same shadowy government agency. And unlike the couple played by Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, whose marriage has gone cold and this spy game reignites their passion, this couple is actually really in love, really committed to each other, and there's a lot of passion in their relationship, but both also fully understand what their line of work demands from them and what they might have to do in any given moment. And that's the central question of the film is, will they or won't they be faithful to their job or to each other? There's the two of them, but there's also their friends and colleagues played by Regé-Jean Page, Naomi Harris, Tom Burke, and their boss, Pierce Brosnan. The standout is Marissa Abela, who I don't know. I've never seen her before. I know she's on Industry, and I unfortunately have not watched Industry, but she is incredible in this film. Really sexy and dangerous and unpredictable. And her character is just a blast to watch. She's especially great in a polygraph scene that happens later in the film where Soderbergh cuts between each character as they're being asked a question and then answering a question. And then another character answers the same question. And then one character asks another character a question. And the way that it's cut together is really fun and keeps us on our toes in terms of who's being asked what, who's answering what, and who's trying to outsmart the polygraph. The film opens with this amazing 20-minute dinner sequence featuring all of our main characters. They both like each other and they also don't like each other, and things get revealed in a way that I won't spoil at all, but it's really, really cool and unexpected for what you would consider a spy thriller. And the way that Soderbergh, who has been his own cinematographer since Traffic in 2000 and his own editor for a long time now, the way he shoots it is not just, medium close-up shot, reverse shot. Sometimes he's above the characters in a wide, and sometimes he'll kind of cut from wide to wide, and it's really interesting and kind of always keeping you on the edge of your seat with this unusual sense of dread and tension that builds and builds throughout the scene until it climaxes in a really funny bit of violence. The costume design is great, and Cate Blanchett looks amazing in every scene. The score is by Soderbergh's go-to guy, David Holmes, who did the scores for the Ocean's 11 movies. His score is great and really adds to the tension, but the great thing about Soderbergh is he knows not to oversaturate the film with score. So the score is perfectly placed in order to ratchet up the tension, but there are also really dramatic, intense scenes that feature no score. And so Soderbergh knows when to just let the silence or the natural sounds dictate the drama and the intensity and it really works. Michael Fassbender is an actor that I really love. I think he's great in Steve Jobs and in Prometheus and in David Fincher's The Killer. And it feels at first like he's kind of played this role before, this kind of icy, methodical, detached character who only shows the barest of emotions, but he does it really well. And I think the thing that makes this character different, or this performance different, is his chemistry with Cate Blanchett. They are perfect together. And I'm kind of amazed. I keep racking my brain trying to think if they've ever been in a film together, and I can't think of one, but they're great together, and they should really do more films together because their chemistry is one of the things that just totally makes the movie work. Going back to Soderbergh's direction, one of the things I liked is that the film never feels phoned in. Soderbergh knows this territory. The film kind of reminded me in some ways of Haywire, his film with Gina Carano, which is definitely more of an action movie, but they are kind of similar in many ways. And not only does he know where to put the camera at all times, but like I said, it always feels like he's thinking of new ways to shoot a scene and edit a scene so that something like the dinner table scene doesn't feel boring or like we've been there before. Everything in the film feels very purposeful. I loved it. I thought the film was great. I haven't seen any other movies this year, but it's so far my favorite movie of the year. And I think it's going to continue to be one of my favorite movies of the year because I don't think that there's going to be anything like it. You know, back in the 90s and the 2000s, maybe we used to get this kind of movie a lot more often. And back then, maybe it wouldn't have stood out as much as it does now. But boy, it really sings, and I loved every minute of it. Go see Black Bag. You won't be sorry. Let me know what you think about the film in the comments. Make sure to come back later this week. I'm going to do another episode about Steven Soderbergh, talk about his films, and list my top 5 favorite Soderbergh movies. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, the VHS Revolution show. So thanks for joining me. This has been great, and I look forward to seeing you next time.